Greetings and salutations, my name is JW608 and today I am playing StarMade. And today we are going to start working on, oh cool, moving without touching my keyboard. That's probably not a good thing. Anyway, today we are going to start actually working on turrets. So let's get some turrets down. And let's just review the basics of turrets. So basically, I have my testing platform with a whole bunch of power, stabilizers, shields, generators, and capacitors. I think they're actually called capacitors now, but I will forever know them as capacitors. I think it was a spelling error back in the day. Anywho, the capacitors, I got, what, 3 million with a regen of 34,000, so it's going to withstand any testing. Basically, I didn't want my testing platform shot by whatever we spawn in. But that's my testing platform. And to put down a turret, you need to choose the... what do they actually call them? The rail load multi-slot, and it is a turret axis. It's the red one. Alright, so now if you are in build mode, you can go create docking, and then click on a rail to set the rail. Then you click somewhere in space to set the core for said rail. And then you scroll your scroll wheel to tell it where. At the top, facing that way, will mean the front of the ship is go that way and the top of the ship is there. That's what we want. And it's a good idea to have all of your elements for your turret to face, the cores to face the same way. Otherwise it gets really cranky. So we have, right now, we have a one-axis turret. I hopped into it by clicking middle click in build mode while I was in the station. And see, I can move left and right. I can't move up. I'm wiggling my mouse up and I just kind of shuffle left and right. So I can't move up and down, but I can move left and right. So this is a one-axis turret. In fact, we can slap guns on this, an AI unit, and call it a day. But it'll only be able to shoot things on this plane. And by plane, I mean plane of existence, not plane as in an aircraft. Anyway, so we want to repeat this process, except we want up and down motion now. So we're going to need a rail turret axis that looks like this on the left. So now we put something, it'll move up and down. So we'll create docking for it, except I want its core to be over here. And you can do that. You can place the cores all over, but just try to keep the cores in the same orientation. So now, looking at the block on the linked ship, I can middle click and it will come in here. And now you notice I have my full degree of motion. So this pull out, I hold down shift and scroll wheel to zoom like this. There are other ways to do it, but that's the way I chose. And see, now turning left and right, I control the bottom rail axis. Up and down controls the top rail axis. So we have 360 degree range of motion here. And this is the basic two-axis turret. Now if you're in some weird position you want to return, hit C and I'll snap to regular. Although it is not actually a turret. There's a few things you need to keep in mind. Well, it's not a turret yet because it isn't. Well, I guess it's a manual turret. Anyway, a few things to keep in mind. When you're building, don't build in such a way to prevent things from turning like that. Because now you see I cannot turn up and down, just left and right, because that block is in the way. Now when removing it, I can move. That's probably one of the most irritating things about turrets, is you placed a block somewhere that blocks your, placed a block that blocks. Placed a block that blocks your motion, and you can't find the rotten thing. So what I usually like to do is I like to build a frame so I can around the moving joints, so I know where not to build. Now, some nomenclature. I usually call this second entity, I call this the barrel, and I called this the base. I don't know if that's approved terminology or not, but the barrel and base. And we are going to go into options. We're going to go into sound. We're going to tone that down just a little bit because I can hear the core noise going, except it's, I don't mind fan noise going, but the whistling high pitch of the core bothers me. So it's still there, but I don't hear it, so that makes me happy. All right, so you have the base and the barrel. Now, on the barrel, you want to put, in order for the computer to be able to use it, it will need a Bobby AI unit, and it's best to face it. See, the little arrow tells you which way it goes, and the eye's looking. And it's best to face it toward the side you want to shoot out of, so probably the front of the ship. And that's what it needs. You hit R on it. You want to tell it is not a ship, it is not a fleet. And for whatever reason, when you go the wrong way, that locks up. So I want to go to turret. There we go. You can tell it a remote control. That's for another day. You cannot activate it while you are in the ship. Well, while you are in this entity, the barrel entity. You can choose volley or simultaneous mode for fire mode and missile damage prioritization. So if this is an AMS, I usually leave it at highest, so if it sees, it'll try to shoot down the most dangerous missile first. You can tell it to aim at anything it wants, only what you have selected, only ships, only stations, only missiles, and only astronauts. So if you want an anti-personnel, like at the door of your station or something, you can set this to only shoot astronauts. But right now we're going to set it to any, so it'll shoot anything it wants. Well, that's a bad guy. And let's see here. Next up, you're going to want a weapon of some description. We're going to go with a B. You want a beam computer facing the proper way and a beam barrel. Now you can manually run this thing. Like you can manually get in it and click and beam all you want. But that's not the best idea with the turret. Turret, you hop out, you come here, you tell this active. That's not the only way to activate a turret. You can, but what I like to do with for testing purposes is glue a activation module to it. So notice it's off, it's on, it's off again. So now I can activate the AI and know it's activated just by looking at it. Huh. Okay, you can't put it back in. Okay. Alright. Another way to do this is going into the mothership, the ship the base is docked to, and going down to docks, in advanced build mode, status, docks, turn on turrets. You can also turn on anything that's docked, and you can also turn off turrets. So now it's off, although that activation module has not changed because it doesn't receive a signal back. So just keep that in mind. That's not an indicator of whether or not it's on. It just turns it on. And those are the absolute bare bones basics on how to build a turret. That is a functional turret, although we do need to discuss shields and power. In the old days, turrets were self-powered, and you needed power in the base, or the barrel. I think it fluctuated where the power went. I think it was usually in the base, and it did not draw power from the mothership. Now, to avoid some interesting manipulations, not really glitches, interesting applications of this system. Now, all power from all docked entities comes from the mothership. So you don't have to put power blocks. In fact, if you put power blocks on here, their reactor will be disabled. So in fact, we can pop this bad boy on here, and we can say See, disabled when docked. So anything that's docked, its reactor gets disabled. See, disabled, or actually diabled. It's diabled when docked. So when you dock to something with a reactor, it becomes diabled. Which I'm assuming is disabled. But apparently Schema spells as well as I do. So, all power must come from the mothership, or station in this case, or planet, plate, or anything you build on, whatever it's docked to is providing the power. And I believe you can have a chain of up to 25 entities. I think that's the max by default. So I could add, let's see, that'd be 1, 2, so I could add 23 more barrels to this base, and all of them would still receive power. Actually, no, does it go up or down? I don't know. You can dock 25 things to each other before the mothership stops supplying power to them. So a docked ship with turrets on it, you don't have to worry about the turrets on the docked entity not working. So in fact, if you wanted to put a plate or a ship that just has turrets and dock it to another ship, those turrets should still function as long as you're not 25 entities removed from the mothership and her reactor. Shields. Turrets are not self-shielded. You don't have to worry about putting shield blocks down. They draw their shields from the mothership. Now, I don't know if it's still true, because I don't know about quickfire, but in the old days, turrets did not draw 100% of their mother's shields. Let's see if we can demonstrate that real quick. Let's see. Actually, I don't know how to demonstrate that. But the turrets would only receive a portion of the shields. Notice it says it's not shielded, but that's not true because it's using its mother's shields. Let's grab a cannon and a cannon, and so that's 1. We'll do 2. Cannon computer and a cannon barrel. See, we cannot. There we go. Shoot it and see it gets the shield effect there. We don't destroy anything, but we get the shield damage effect. Oh, that's actually firing off sound effects. Huh. Guess I wanted to do that today. Anyway. So, it draws its shields, so no shields on this entity. It draws all its shields from... And it still gets the exploding effect, it looks like. But it draws all its shields from the mothership. But if I recall, and again, I don't know if this is true, and I wouldn't really know how to test it offhand, that it does not get full power shields. And I don't know. Another thing to need to test is it only within the bubble that it gets protection. Oh, stop that. Wait. Oh, you're moving. Stop moving. Shift V. There we go. Shift then V, not Shift V. But anyway. What you mean within the bubble? Shield bubble. This is not the shield wall. This is the bubble. Anything with inside of this boundary is shielded on this entity. I'm assuming your rails have to be, or your turrets have to be inside. Well, most of your turrets are going to be inside the bubble anyway. But I don't know if you inherit shielding from the mothership outside the bubble. I've never tested that. Huh. Well, I would like to take a closer look at shields and turrets later on to know exactly what's going on. We'll take a look at that. But here we have the absolute most basic turret we can have. It's even active, unless we're going to prove it's active by mass spawning a ship. We're going to grab a 608 sloop, and we're going to make it a pirate sloop. And we're going to spawn that thing in. So now it is going to try its best to shoot the pirate sloop. And it's not going to do anything if it ever decides to hit it. It's going to try, though, and the sloop is really quick. So, I don't know, did it actually? No, it didn't. And don't stand in front of this, you will get hurt. So, this is a functional turret. And why am I moving inside of that block? I should not be able to do that. Oh, because it's thinking it's moving. Alright. 100% functional, also 100% worthless against anything other than astronauts, because a single beam is not going to do much, and also is not doing very well tracking or hitting that. But with bigger ship, it'll probably be able to hit it and do absolutely nothing because it's a single beam. But it serves a purpose, and we can also hit this button here, which turned off the AI module, so it will no longer track. You can turn it back on and it will begin tracking again. Another thing to note is when you hop into the barrel, it turns off the AI, and you cannot turn it back on while you are in the vessel. That's just one of the things about AI in general, not just for turrets. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for today, and we will continue notice it is no longer tracking the sloop. That is because the sloop is out of range. It will not track a weapon out of its weapon range. Or it will not track a target out of its weapon range. Oh, and another thing off the top of my head, just thought about it. If you hit the delete key, you get the fancy system here. You can go to, where is it? Rail System Collective. And here you can reset and deactivate and all that, and even undock all your turrets. If you reset all turrets, it'll snap all your turrets to their default positions, so you don't have to go in and move them all individually. I don't know why, but I prefer all my turrets to be snapped in the way they're supposed to be. Right, anyway, I have been JW608. This has been StarMade, and I will dig you cats later.